Welcome back to Pillars of Eternity 2, the character creation screen, and I just found out that there are sub-races and we're going to read through all of them to find the one that suits us the best. There are two types of Aumauars, island and coastal. Island Aumauars are originated in the Deadfire archipelago and have largely remained there over the millennia. The Deadfire archipelago marks the eastern edge of the known world, dominantly populated by island Aumauar, who make up the tribes of the Huana. The chain of hundreds of islands span thousands of miles. The Deadfire contains myriad climates and biomes that are home to a bewildering array of creatures. The last century has brought ambitious colonial traders, explorers, and pirates to the Deadfire, but travel east of the archipelago is blocked by the destructive storms of Ondra's mortar. Legends among the Huana speak of an ancient cataclysm that devastated their people thousands of years ago. Details of this event have been lost to time, but Huana storytellers claim that it destroyed everything they had built, sinking even the greatest of their cities beneath the waves. While physiologically similar to their coastal cousins, the coloration of island Aumauar is starkly different. Warm tones contrasting the coastal's cool blues and green. While not all island Aumauar are connected to the native Huana culture of the Deadfire, it is rare to find them in the Eastern Reach, much less the old empires. Among the waves, island Aumauar are unusually comfortable moving through water, deep sand, mud, and similar obstacles. Unlike all other races, they are not reduced to wading when running through such impediments during combat. Oh, that's a powerful passive ability. Good for melee fighters or assassins, maybe. Coastlamar. Viewed by many in the old empires and Eastern Reach as a warlike race, the Coastlamar are dominantly from the northern nation of Rauchai. The powerful naval kingdom of Rauchai is dominated by Coastlamar and ruled by Ranginui. Currently the most prosperous of the old empires, Rauchai has we've read that already. Though they originated in the Deadfire archipelago thousands of years ago, time and distance have divorced them from their distant Huana kin. Coastal Aumauar are less intimately connected to the sea than island Aumauar and are distinguished by their cool skin tones. Towering physique. Coastal Aumauar are renowned for their natural sea legs and sturdy builds. Whether it's due to their long history of seafaring or insane something innate, all coastal Aumauar have resistance to might afflictions. The staggered, dazed, and stunned afflictions affect the might attribute. These afflictions can be countered by a might inspiration, strong, tenacious, or energized, so we want coastal Aumauars as tanks, maybe? Okay. Dwarfs. What kind of sub-races do we have? We have Boreal Dwarfs. Most Boreal Dwarfs, Inutanik, live in the remote southern island of Nazitak, where they share the rocky tundra and snow-covered forests with migratory pale elves and the coast-hugging ships of Aumauar. Like their northern cousins, Inutanik share an instinctive lore of exploration. Boreal dwarfs are most commonly encountered in the White That Wends or the southern reaches of the Deadfire archipelago and are only rarely seen in other lands. Inutanik. The formal term for boreal dwarfs, this Inutanik language term means people of the tundra. Hunter's instincts. In boreal dwarf lands, primordial creatures, oozes, fungian plants, and wilder, ogres, skuldrs, trolls, vitrak, and xaurips have long preyed on hunters. Generations of conflict have given the boreal dwarfs an increased chance to graze against them rather than miss. Attack roll between 25 and 49. A graze reduces damage and duration by 50. Mountain Dwarf. Mountain Dwarfs, Aptapo, originated on the continent of Aedir in the old empires, but had disappeared from those lands long before humans and elves arrived there. They have spread rapidly throughout the world over the millennia due to their instinctive drive to explore and migrate. While mountain dwarfs do form settlements and even small nations, they are more often found within other cultures, most commonly Old Valia, the Valian republics, and the Deerwood. Hale and hardy. The most well-travelled race in Aera, their incredible journeys have exposed them to all manner of lethal hazards, giving them the resistance to constitution afflictions, like sickened, weakened, and enfeebled. Aptapo. Goat people. That's not very nice. Elf. Pale and wood elf. What female pale? Okay. Pale elf. It is unclear how long ago the Pale Elves, Glenfallen, came to the southern polar regions of the world, but they have lived there for at least 12,000 years based on their continuous contact with Aumaua traders. They are one of the most stationary ethnic groups in the known world, migrating within the polar region but seldom venturing far north. They are rare in northern lands and most people consider them exotic, if they have seen one at all. Elemental endurance. The Pale Elves' long history of living in inhospitable climates have given them an inherent resistance to burn and freeze damage. Not immunity, but resistance. Wood Elf. Wood Elves trace their beginnings far north of present-day Aedir and have migrated south through the forests and jungles of the continent. Much of their history is connected with the Meadow Folk, and they are often found in the same lands. Some historians believe that Wood Elves migrated to Glenfeth at some point in the past, though Aedir and Glenfathan elves are wholly different culturally. They are rarely found outside of Aedir and in the Eastern Reach. Glenfa. A territory comprised of the forests southeast of the Bile River, populated indigenously by a group of loosely affiliated tribes collectively known as Glenfathans, and governed by a council of its 6 most powerful tribes. Glenfath is home to a large number of ruined Engwithan sites, which Glenfathans hold secret. The ruins have been at the center of a number of large-scale conflicts with Wooden colonists, whose settlements often encroach on Glenfathan territory and who frequently seek to plunder the ruins for their relics. Wily Step. Wood Elves have a natural resistance towards dexterity afflictions. Hobbled, immobilized, and paralyzed. Okay, and godlikes. They are death godlikes. Oh. Okay, never mind. They're cool looking godlikes. Never mind at all. Oh, that one looks interesting. Okay, so death godlike are the most distrusted of their kind. Strange growths cover their eyes, or in some cases entire face, giving them a sinister appearance. The growths are transparent for the godlike, but opaque from the outside, hiding their features. Death godlike are commonly killed at birth because many cultures consider them to be harbingers of doom. Oh, they have 2 passive bonuses. Death godlike seem to have an innate sense for the vulnerability of their enemies as death approaches. Against all targets that are near death, death godlike gain increased damage. And near death, interesting, so that's a divinity feature, and in Pathfinder I guess it has something to do probably with the base rules of D&D. Pallid Fate, even though I'm not even sure if Pathfinder is based on D&D or if it's an entirely unique set of tabletop game. A Pallid Fate. Death godlike gain increased power level when they are near death. Power level is a measure of the overall power of your character. All active spells and abilities are modified by power level and become more powerful as you gain levels. Some items, spells, and abilities may also influence your power level, positively and slash or negatively. Fire godlike. Ooh, fire! The bodies of fire godlike often resemble hot metal, burnt wood, or stone, with harmless flames that erupt from the cracks in their skin. Fire godlike are objects of both reverence and fear in the Deadfire archipelago. Many locals believe they have the power to awaken volcanoes, or that killing one will cause a volcano to awaken. The Deerwood fire godlike are often seen as a sign of the blessing of Magran, goddess of fate and fire. Of war and fire, not fate. A goddess of war, fire, transformation, purification, consumption, and trials. Patron goddess of the Deerwood, thought to have blessed the god hammer bomb that destroyed Waitwin and possibly Eothas. God hammer bomb. A battle forged. When fire godlike are bloodied or near death, their bodies harden, granting additional armor rating, and their souls lash out at attackers, causing burn damage to anyone who hits them in melee. Okay. A character that is between 15 and 25% health is considered bloodied. Death is 25 health and lower. Armor rating. When an attack hits, there is one primary means of mitigating damage. Armor rating derived from armor, but many creatures have natural AR or can raise it with use of magic abilities, talents, or other equipments. Why do they write abilities and talents with a capital letter but not magic? Fire godlike skin is naturally resistant to burn damage. There are 8 damage types in Pillars of Eternity: Slash, Pierce, Crush, Burn, Shock, Corrode, Freeze, and Roar. Damage types are used to determine how easily a target resists damage of that type based on their armor ratings. Some weapons or attacks may do multiple damage types or list an OR between their damage types. When an OR is listed, the attack will always do the damage type that the target is most vulnerable to. Raw damage is the only damage type that ignores all armor ratings and is generally associated with poisons and similar effects. Moon godlike. Ooh, that one looks quite interesting. Moon godlikes. The moon godlike are the most tolerated of the godlike. While their skin tone and large moon-like growth on their forehead may be strange to some, their appearance are generally considered more palatable by the other Keith. Sailors have many beliefs about moon godlike and their propensity to bring luck, though there is little agreement as to what kind of luck they tend to bring. Silver Tide. The souls of all moon godlike are connected to reserves of healing energy. In combat, the first time a moon godlike is hurt, bloodied, or near death, they will automatically generate a wave of healing around themselves. What? Between 75 and... Whoa. Hurt. First time moon godlike is hurt, bloodied, or... Okay, not and, but or. Automatically generate a wave of healing around themselves. Interesting. Does they also encompass allies? I mean, that's very powerful, so every time they are hurt, 75% or lower, one time, per combat, they get a passive healing spell. I mean, the heck, why not? Nice. Need to sneeze. Okay. Nature godlike. A nature godlike appear to be a fusion of male and female. Of human and animal features, often covered by plants, moss, or fungi. This has led to the common stigma that they are diseased, and many are killed at birth because of it. Many druidic orders have a keen interest in nature godlike because of their general curiosity as to how souls occupy animals, plants, and stones. Wellspring of life. The souls of nature godlike respond powerfully to inspiration. While a nature godlike is under the effects of any might, constitution, or dexterity inspiration, they benefit from an increased power level. Inspiration. Counter and grant immunity to any and all afflictions of the corresponding attribute. For example, the smart inspiration cancels and removes the confused, charmed, and dominated afflictions. That's an interesting concept. So, humans. Meadow Folk. The Meadow Folk, or Tiathan, came from an ancient civilization in the northern hemisphere and gradually migrated south into the equatorial jungles of Adir over several millennia. They are commonly found in Adir, as well as Adir's former colonial territories, Red Carras and the Deerwood. Dwarf's neighbor to the north, Red Carras is a nation firmly rooted in its Eothasian faith, a fervor that took hold during the events of the Saints' War and remains even after the apparent death of Eothas, the fighting spirit. All folk have an indomitable spirit that rises to the challenge when things look grim. Whenever a folk is below bloodied or near death, they gain a bonus to accuracy and damage. Ocean folk, Kalbandra. Originated near the equator at the western edge of the old empires and have gradually spread south and east. Ocean folk are the dominant culture in Old Valia, the Valian republics, and can be found in most other parts of the world due to the reach of the Valian Trading Company. An outward-looking mercantile order from the Valian republics, the 30,000 employees are tasked with delivering profit to the homeland's investment. In the Deadfire, this means refining and exporting luminous Adra in enormous quantities. Okay. Fighting spirit, the same. Savannah Folk. Savannah Folk, Natlan, come originally from just south of the equator, north of the Eastern Reach. They have largely remained in the same location for over 10,000 years. The name Netlan literally means original. While quite common in Ixamitl, Red Carras, and other countries of the Eastern Reach, they are rare in the Old Empires and Deadfire Archipelago. Also fighting spirit, so all humans just get fighting spirit? That's a bit useless. Just whenever a folk is below bloodied, so a folk, does it mean only that human, or also does it apply to other humans? Orlan. Wild and Hearth. Wild Orlans are the original Orlans who lived in the deepest forests and jungles between the tropics, while they have only been significantly separated from Hearth Orlans for 1,000 years. Just. They are easily distinguished by their hairy faces and bodies. Wild Orlans are common in the deep reaches of Aer Glenfath, and rarely encountered elsewhere due to widespread enslavement and prejudice against them. Defiant, resolute. Resolve. Wild Orlans are naturally sound of mind and gain resistance towards resolve afflictions. Hearth Orlans are found in many forested areas of the Eastern Reach, where they originated, and occasionally as slaves both there and in the Old Empires. Distinguished from Wild Orlans by their less hirsute faces and bodies, Hearth Orlans generally receive a less negative reception from other Keith. While they can be found in the Deadfire, they are seldom seen in significant numbers. Minor threat. When Hearth Orlans attack a target that is also being threatened by a teammate, they convert some of their hits to crits. Oh. Well, that's quite powerful. So, perfect for a bowman, for example. Okay, so I really want to play human even though the bonuses are just useless. How do the female version looks like? Ocean Folk, Savannah, Meadow Folk, Elves, Hill, So, is there a way to customize the faces? I mean, he looks hideous. I mean, his face doesn't look that hideous, so that's more acceptable. Savannah Folk, I mean, why the scars on them? It's just... Yeah, for now, until we get to the customization menu. Let's go with that one. Meadow Folk, yes. Would you like to make a single class or multi-class character? Single class characters are entirely focused on their chosen class. They gain access to higher level powers more quickly. Multi-class characters can select powers from 2 classes, but gain access to higher level powers more slowly and cannot access their class's highest level powers. Cannot access highest level powers. Well, that's not good. So we're going with single class. Oh my goodness. Ugh, game. Are you serious? This feels like Pathfinder. We're going to spend 5 or 6 episodes here. Ay. Barbarian? Brutes, madmen, berserkers. Though city-dwelling people often use the term barbarian with a dose of disrespect, the rural warriors are respected by their communities for their ferocity and fearsome presence on the battlefield. Barbarians have a special, almost religious role in some cultures. But in many places, the undisciplined, fearless style of the barbarian is simply how warriors conduct themselves. Cloud control, defender. Inflict heavy okay, defender. Excel at resisting attacks or being able to take a large amount of punishment in combat. Chanter. In every culture across Aora, there are chanters. Many historians consider chanters to be the most ancient workers of magic, the hallowed phrases stirring the collective memory of wayward souls around them, compelling them to generate magical effects in a kind of reenactment. In some societies, chanters form organized groups of storytellers and researchers, but in most parts of the world, they are just a time-honored part of local folk traditions. Oh my goodness. I'm going to spend some time nuzzling on a water bottle. 1 minute. Okie dokie. Storytellers and researchers. That's not very interesting. Review ability tree. Active and passive abilities. Raw. Rage. Hurls a weapon at the target. Yeah, that's not very interesting. How do I close this? Okay. Cipher. A recent discovery in the Eastern Reach. Ciphers were once called Brishalquin, mind hunters, by the Glenforthans. Ciphers have the ability to directly contact and manipulate another person's soul and psyche, using an ally's or enemy's essence as the focus for their magic. Though most ciphers are still found in the Eastern Reach, practitioners of the techniques have spread throughout the world. They are gaining acceptance over time, but are generally distrusted, especially by the uneducated. Sleight of hand. What? Whenever you want to lift a few coins from unsuspecting mark or plant incriminating evidence, or worse, on an enemy, a sleight of hand can get the job done without drawing suspicion. What? Striker. Unequaled in their ability to inflict large amounts of damage and crippling afflictions to single targets. Druid. Wait, let's preview the ability tree. Death of 1,000 cuts. Ooh. Haunting chains. Raping knives. Time parasite. So apparently... Defensive mind web? Ancestor's memory? Do we have to choose one ability or do we get all of them? I kind of wonder. Okay, goodbye. Druid. Animists at heart. Druids tap into the spiritual power that flows through them and the living things of Aera. Plants, animals, and sometimes even living stones called golems. While not necessarily religious, druids do have a reverence for the natural world and a keen interest in understanding its mysteries. In most cultures, druids are understood as a sort of primal magician, but among the Glen Faithans, Narsitaki, and many rural cultures, they may have high positions of influence and authority. Can they transform? Oh, summons a giant beast of unnatural size, a true aspect of the deity Galawain. Oh, hello there. So they can summon creatures. Ooh. Well, that I like. And we have a fighter. Fighters form the front line of disciplined armies across the Eastern Reach. Though they are most commonly found in cultures with an organized martial structure, fighters can also be encountered as wandering mercenaries, bodyguards, and other types of swords. A common element that unifies fighters is their heavy focus on endurance and melee defense. Inspired attack. So normal dude with shield. A monk. Monks belong to a variety of fighting orders that have sprung up in Ixamital and the Eastern Reach over the past few centuries. While many monastic orders can trace their teachings to the enduring founder, Godlike, individual organizations vary greatly in their focus, morality, and ethics. Common folk respect the incredible discipline of monks, but see them as an odd, unpredictable bunch who may not be entirely sane. Even mercenaries and other adventurers are unsure what to make of them. Paladin. Support. Zell. Resource. Wounds. Paladins are martial zealots, devoted to a god, ruler, or even a way of life. They can be found in any culture where a fanatical group of like-minded individuals have formed a warrior society dedicated to advancing their cause. Among those aligned to their worldview, paladins are viewed with respect and admiration, if a bit of fear. Many paladins hold leadership positions in armies and mercenary companies, but in the heat of battle, their fanaticism often overrules the chain of command and common sense. What? That's not good. Paladin abilities require and consume zeal on use. Zeal. Outside of combat, the paladin's zeal or zeal is stored, ready to be used in the next encounter. Oh, only outside of combat. Priest. Priests are devotee. Wait, let's see the ability tree first. Command an unconscious ally to get back up with a large instant spike in health, while also granting the strong inspiration. Intense pure conviction. Reviving command. So apparently we have to make a couple of choices. Divine immolation. Self-immolates and blue flame. What? Sacred sacrifice? Yeah. So Paladin is not a tank here, it's just, at least it's a bit tanky, but it has a role of, well, support. Not the biggest fan of that one. Priest. Priests are devotees of Aora's deities and practitioners of religious magic. While all priests dedicate themselves to specific gods, priests' power is actually derived from their personal beliefs. In contrast to most paladins, priests tend to focus on philosophy, teaching, and the relationship of religious organizations with the common folk. The reception of priests in any given part of the world depends largely on how their gods are revered or reviled by the people who live there. Priests have a limited number of spell uses in combat for each spell level. Outside of combat, priest's spell uses are restored, ready to be used in the next encounter. In the next episode, we will continue.